Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Xochitl. If you are new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, especially if you want to keep up with chit chat, get ready with me, videos like this one, random rambles, but also makeup reviews, demos, tutorials, and more. Today, we are trying. The goal is to do a quick date night already, a makeup tutorial. It's like a date a day extravaganza or just date, you know, whatever, but you know, just trying to be somewhat quick, chat with you guys while I do my makeup. Hopefully we can do this in like 20 minutes or so. We shall see. Today I actually wanted to test out the e.l.f. Luminous Putty Primer, just because I've mentioned before that I feel like for primers I need a couple days to test it out, so today's gonna be one of those days, and then I'm gonna do an official review, but you guys get kind of like a nice sneak peek, because if you watch my channel, you know I love the e.l.f. regular poreless putty primer. We're about to run out, but they came out with a luminous one, so I was like, am I gonna love this one even better? And they came out with a matte one as well, so let's see. Ooh, it's definitely, it's like a little balm. It's very similar, but this feels a little bit slicker, a little bit more hydrating than the poreless putty. Surprisingly, I feel like the poreless putty is great for everybody, but one thing that I would like for my primer as well is that luminosity, although I feel like I get it from my foundations, but why not step it up a notch, especially in the wintertime? It is Chicago, and apparently we're supposed to have a storm today. So that should be fun. So basically we're getting what real like Chicago January-esque weather should be. So that should be interesting. So I'm just going to let that settle. It doesn't have a smell. If it does, it's for my hand lotion. But it does not have a smell. So I'm going to see how this goes on and stays on with my foundation. And also if it kind of what do you call it, fills in those pores as well, because that's what I want. I want to fill in the pores because I can definitely notice it as I get older, but I like that luminosity as well. For my foundation, I thought I'd, you know, step it up a notch today, play with somebody, the Armani Luminous Silk Foundation. I know we're getting fancy here today. I was honestly between the Armani, or I've really been loving the Wet n Wild, the Photo Focus Dewy foundation one, but this one is so dewy, I really kind of want to, you know, see what luminosity this, what do you call it, primer takes on. And I've worked with the Armani one, so I want to see the difference there, just because the Wet n Wild is so dewy. I'm like, okay, how much of the dewiness is a foundation, how much of the dewiness is the primer? So let's do this one for today. And yeah, we're definitely gonna do early dinner time. I feel like in general we like to do an earlier dinner time, like Mexican dinner time, like that 3:30, 4 p.m. Especially if it's like on a Friday, on a weekend or something like that, if we can, just to avoid like the large crowds. Like I like going out, but I hate crowds. I hate waiting, you know. Depends on the time of day, you know, if you can make a reservation or what. Sometimes it's, you know, a place that's worth it. But if we can avoid it, I'd rather eat early and, you know, do whatever else you want to do. And I was just kind of like, so when are we having date night? Because I don't care how long you've been with somebody. We've been together 10 years. I think date nights are still very important. They're essential, I feel like, for the relationship. So scheduling one, or, you know, trying to at least like schedule one, have one, whatever, you know, timeline I feel like that works for you guys, I think is very important. So for us, I'm like, at least once a month, let's do something. And I feel like for a lot of people, they might think like, well, I don't have the budget to do a date night once a month. For me, date night doesn't have to be something expensive. It's always nice to do something creative. Budget date nights are always fun too, you know. It doesn't have to be a nice fancy dinner. And also I feel like, depending on your relationship, it doesn't have to be a he pays all the time, you know, as you kind of been together longer, or I don't know, just in general, we've always had that understanding where it's like, hey, you paid for dinner, I'm gonna pay for lunch. You know, we don't have that joint checking yet, but I feel like we've always had that, like, hey, you know, like, oh, he actually, you know, paid for this, so let me chip in and pay for this, because it's like, I'm an independent woman, I can pay for my own things too. But you know, it's like, it's a partnership, you know, it's a partnership. So it's like, hey, if we want to do something together, like, let's, you know, contribute to it. Sometimes Frank could be like, you know, like, I'll take you out, babe, like, it's on me, you know, whatever. Those are always nice too, but it's like not something that I personally feel that the guy has to pay for all the time, you know. Even before we were together for so long, I think it's a nice gesture when you first start dating. I think it does say a lot. but it's not something that I'm expecting, you know? So I guess culturally too, you know? I'm gonna go in with the CoverGirl True Blend Undercover Concealer, because when we first started dating, like the first official day, you know, we started, like, we made it official, and we went for, like, you know, our regular, like, lunch breaks that we would with, like, another friend too. So I remember it was, like, for a burger, and I ordered first, and I was about to pay. He's like, no, wait, I got this. And I was like, wow, like, that was really nice. Like, I feel like it's something definitely in the Latino culture. It's like a gesture that you just kind of learn, you know? I just feel like when the guy does pay, that's, for me, not an expectation. It's just more of a sign of respect. Well, at least when you first start going off, for sure too. I feel like my last relationship, that it really wasn't that. So that just kind of showed, like, different values, you know? And I remember bringing it up one time after a while, after me and Frankie started dating, because I remember when we first started dating, it was very much like he would pay all the time. And it wasn't like I'm just like, no, you're gonna pay. But that was just something he did. And I remember we talked about it once, and he's like, that's just something I learned from my dad. You know, he would give me cash if he knew I was, like, taking a girl out or something. He's like, and sometimes I would tell him I'm taking a girl out, you know, if I was just going out with my friends, just like, gonna get some cash. But that's just like a very Latino cultural thing. And I feel like that is something that makes a difference to me when you first start going on. Like, later on, whatever your relationship is, I feel like, you know, it is a partnership. So, you know, I'm just like, hey, like, let's chip in together type of a thing. But I feel like in the beginning that, I don't know, just kind of shows your, like, core, like, values and stuff like that. So that was just like, okay, yeah, this is right. Trying to use up the rest of my Colourpop. So I'm really curious to hear from you guys. You know, if you're in a relationship, a new relationship, if you've been in a relationship for a while, do you do date nights? Do you feel like they're important? I feel like they definitely are. And I feel like it's important that you communicate it to your partner too, whether it's a woman, man. But I feel like especially maybe if it's a man, because being with Frankie for 10 years, very great, very smart. But I remember we got into an argument. I forgot about what, but basically it's like whenever we get into arguments, sometimes it's very much because I felt this type of way and this is what was going on in my thought process and everything. And he's like, I did not get that. I would have never understood that. I would have never gotten that had you not communicated it to me, you know? And he's like, guys are dumb. Like, we don't get it. Like, we really don't get it. You know, I feel like a lot of the times women complain, it's like, why don't you get it? Like, they just don't get it. I don't care how old he is. I don't care how long he's been in a relationship. If there's something going on in your mind, your thought process, they don't think like that. Men and women just don't think the same, you know? So you really have to communicate these things. And I remember when we first kind of started going out, I was just like, let's go out, like, let's do something. Like, we should have like these type of, you know, things that we do together. It's nice to have going out with your friends and groups and stuff like that. And, you know, hanging out at home is not the exact same thing where you're just like on your phones and stuff. And to me, I feel like, once again, it's like my argument was like, it doesn't have to be something expensive. It doesn't have to be take me out to dinner and the movies every night, because that adds up. I get it. And I remember we were in college, and I was like, look up free things to do in Chicago. Like, get creative, you know, like, let's do something. But I was like, I'm not down to just like bum it around, you know, with your boys all the time. Like, no, let's do something. So I feel like if you know, in that kind of situation where it's like, hey, you're like younger, you guys are broke, you can't really afford it, get creative. You know, in the summertime in Chicago, they have stuff like movies at the park, you know. Let's pay, you know, $3, $2.50 for the train and let's go. So it's like, you can get creative. Sometimes like for a nice, like fun budget date nights at home, I feel like a lot of it's like doing something. It's the thought of doing something together, you know? So sometimes instead of going out to dinner, because I feel like especially in Chicago, there's a lot of great places to eat out. So a lot of times that's what date nights could be. But sometimes we'll do, you know, cook together. You know, we'll try a new recipe. Maybe we'll do like, we made meatballs one day and they're so good. Like, it's a process, but we're doing it together. We're trying something new together. So try something new together. I think that just doing something together without, what do you call it, like disturbance of being on your phone and social media, I think that really makes a difference in a relationship. Just my thought process. All right, so just getting my eyebrows together. Honestly, whenever it's date night with Frankie, I don't do the most with my eyes, especially if I'm just trying to do something quick, because, you know, I just feel like he doesn't appreciate it as, you know, most women do. You know, I do my makeup for women and not for men. So I'm just going to go in with my Colourpop single eyeshadow on top Knotch. I did this one with the Build Your palette, so we're just going to go and just kind of put that into the crease. But another affordable date night that we like to do is mini golf. And that's just fun. We'll go like to different places and stuff. So we'll do that like a group stuff with like his brothers, but then it's like, no, this is date night mini golf, just you and me, and that's always fun. So find something that you guys like to do. I like to look for coupons. Is there something Groupon? Make it affordable. Everybody's got their own budgets or, you know, amount of money that you want to spend on date night. So not to say that you can't afford it. You can find ways to afford something that, you know, you want to do. Get creative. You can budget for it. Maybe it's not as frequent, or you can do other like more free things to do at home. So have your date night, whether it's, you know, doing something together, cooking at home, trying something new. Maybe it's like all those free summer events in whatever city you kind of live in, but have fun. I think it's important for the relationship. And make sure to communicate it with your partner. Communicate your needs. You're like, I need a date night at least this frequent. You know, maybe it's a month, maybe it's every other month or something. But you should be able to communicate that with your partner. And if you can't communicate that with your partner, that's a problem. You know, like if you can't communicate with your partner about anything and everything, I feel like that's a problem. I feel like communication is definitely the key to relationships. If you can't talk to them about certain things, if you can't talk about everything, that should be your person, you know, that should be your best friend. You shouldn't be afraid. I'm just going in with my under eye setting powder just for that. You shouldn't be afraid to communicate with them, you know, talk to them how you feel, to be yourself with someone, you know. If you have to pretend to be somebody else and not feel comfortable being your true self in a relationship, I think that's an issue, you know. That's when you can be your true self, whatever matter of form it is, you know. If I can be my slob self, you know, during the day, I don't have to be Miss Glam all the time when I can take out the makeup off and be a bum. If I can, you know, be my high maintenance self when I want to be my high maintenance self, because I can be. I think that's how you know it's right. Wing, so I just do the least, and we're gonna go in and add a wing liner with my NYX matte liquid liner. So we got our liner on, and what I'm gonna do is just add a little bit of shadow down there. We are almost done. Going in with the Anastasia Beverly Hills bronzer, because I hit pan. This is just like a quick go-to bronzer for me. I don't know. And while I add this on, I have to think about what lipstick I'm going to use. So we're going to one of our favorite restaurants where we're probably going to drink lots of the drinks. Usually we don't like order drinks at restaurants. Usually it's like water so you can like fill in more food, or I don't know, we're just not big drinkers. But this one, it's a brewery, so it's fun and you get to like taste and try different ones, which I prefer. It's like I don't want to commit to a whole new drink that I don't know if I'm gonna like or not. So I like that you can kind of, you know, taste them and try a little bit of everything, you know. I'm not like, this is my favorite alcoholic drink, like I need just this with like my dinner type of a deal. So this should be fun. Definitely excited for date night, just to get to do something. And then I think what we're gonna do is, because we saw Star Wars already, so I think we're gonna see if we can Redbox, have a movie night on a budget. So you can have those too, Redbox, and see if they have, what is it, the Joker movie? I've been wanting to see that one for a while. If not, backup plan, the other one we want to watch is The Irishman. So that should be pretty fun. But schedule in a date night, schedule in times together. I think it's really important. Something else that's really important, I feel like, to do in relationships, something that I do, that I feel like I started doing since my last relationship, was to kind of do self check-ins. Ask yourself every once in a while, however regular you want to do it, but I think it's something you should do. Am I happy? And it could be about anything, whether in your relationship or not. And but when you're doing it in correlation to your relationship, it's like, am I happy? Thinking about your relationship, am I happy? And, current relationship, I'm definitely yes. The answer is always yes. And that's great. That's a great feeling. But I know that in my previous relationship, I remember the day. I remember where I was standing. I was waiting for like a train to go home. It was back in the day. It was like over 10 years ago. But I remember just standing there and thinking about my relationship. And I was like, this is like right before we broke up too. And I just thought to myself, I was like, I'm not happy. I just kind of like stood there. I was like, I'm not happy. And I feel like for that one, it was really hard to do anything about it. I get it. It was my first love. It was my first real big relationship, so those I think are the hardest to kind of get out of when you're in that state, when you're not happy. So I said that to myself. I realized it. I knew it. But I didn't know what to do about it. I didn't know how to go about it. I wasn't good with confrontation back then. Obviously, I don't have a problem now. But I didn't know. And I'm kind of glad. I was very glad when he actually broke up with me. I'm like, thank you. Because I don't know if I would have been able to do it. I don't know how I would have, continued on. Maybe I would have. Or I don't know. I just don't know. And I'm really glad. Because, I asked myself the question at that time. And I realized it, and I feel like had we kept going, it just, I wouldn't have been, and it wouldn't have been good. Not a bad person, not anything. It just wasn't the relationship for me. You just realizing, and I wasn't happy about that. But I didn't know how to go about it. So this is just something I tell friends, and I tell people in general. Ask yourself, are you happy? And if the answer is yes, great. That's awesome. That's a great feeling. If you're not, think about what it is that's making you unhappy. If there are issues in the relationship. And I think too, sometimes I think also, whenever we're in a fight, argument rather, what's the argument about? Are you guys always arguing about the same thing? Or is it, something different, and you communicate about it and it can kind of, get resolved from there. So I feel like it's never the same thing that we're kind of fighting about, because whether, one of us kind of brings it up or, one of us doesn't have a problem communicating. Once again, communication, I think it's it's a big part of a relationship. But if you're thinking about what are you constantly arguing about, what is the constant battle, the tension, and it's the same things, especially for people who keep breaking up and getting back together, keep breaking up and getting back together. I personally have no patience for that. Maybe a second chance, sure. I think everybody, depending why you broke up or what, if you cheated, they'll cut that out. But depending on, what it was that you didn't work out the first time, if it keeps happening, if it's the same issue, why are you wasting your time, But also think about that. Like, if you guys are having issues, everybody has issues, everybody has arguments. Can you resolve them? Can you talk about them? Can you move on from them? Then great. If you can't, why are you wasting your time? Or like, why are you putting so much energy into something that's never going to be resolved and never going to make you truly happy? Just saying. All right, we got our lashes on, because why not? Makes us look a little bit more put together, even though we did the kind of bare minimum for glam and makeup. Gonna go in with my Vive Cosmetics Loose and Glow Highlighter, a duo. But I don't know. I feel like maybe how much, what is this? All this astrology, new moon, like Cancer moon, just kind of getting rid of the bad, cleanse, going into the new year. I feel like for those of you who are maybe not as happy with your relationships, think about why, what you can do about it, communicate it, talk about it. And if it goes nowhere, then maybe that's a sign, move on. It's 2020. Let's start the new year off right. Don't waste your time in 2020. Just saying. It's always funny because where I work, sometimes we'll have clients. It's so in the new year, I feel like that's definitely the time where a lot of people break up. So it's kind of awkward when we have someone call in and they're like, actually, can you remove so-and-so from this account? We're no longer together. Or I will be moving, but not this person. So the account's going to be switched to my name. And, we get a lot of those new year, relationship stuff. But just, I don't know, assess your situation. I think it's always good to assess your situation that you're in. Really take that into consideration. And I feel like because whoever you're spending so much time with all the time, they're going to affect your happiness, whether they're going to help amp it up or they're going to bring you down. You know, you want someone who's always going to support you and make you your best self. Why are you going to be with someone who's constantly bringing you down? So I just wanted to give that out because I know there's just so many people out there who maybe don't feel like they deserve something really great. I think everybody deserves a great relationship. I think nobody should settle. And there's a lot of people who settle out there. So I think just think about what you want and what you deserve, and which is the best. And think about the relationship that you're in. Is it the best? Are you the happiest? Are you settling? Is this your first love who you've been with forever so you don't know anything else? It's okay to end it. You know, I think there's better out there. If so, sometimes people who've been together for so long, that's been the only person, maybe their first and only love, sometimes it does work for the best. But so just think about your relationship. So I think since let's try two, since we kind of have this vibe going on, and go in with my Colourpop lipsticks I haven't used on camera. So this is the Colourpop lip liner in BFF3 and my Colourpop lippy stick in Ziggy. So let's go in with BFF3. Ooh, yes, that's the brown Chola lip liner that I want and need in my life. So now we're going to go in with Ziggy. Ooh, I've been wanting to try this one. Yes, this is Ziggy. Very creamy. This is actually from their Matte X line. They need some more of these colors, but it's still very creamy matte. Don't forget to blend your real lashes with your falsies. I'm going in with the Grande Drama Grande Cosmetics mascara. Of course, we need some Max Fix Plus. And then make sure to set it, especially if you're like me and there's about to be a winter storm outside. That is the completed quick date night look that I usually go for. So thank you for coming to my TED Talk and to get ready with me. I hope you guys enjoyed it. You know, let me know, for those of you who are in relationships, what are your guys' favorite date nights so I can get some ideas. Also, I like those very nice budget creative date nights. So feel free to drop those down below. For those of you who maybe are not in relationships, I feel like this is just something to maybe take into consideration. If you're not interested in getting into a relationship, do you, boo. If you are too booked and busy, totally cool. Take yourself out into some date nights, self-care, treat yourself. But I hope you guys enjoyed this random chit chat. Get ready with me. Let me know if you guys want to see more of them. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you all next time.